Hi, I'm Grant. This is Digression Bar, episode 8.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Cole.
So if everything worked, there should be graphics on screen now. I actually went out and made those in the absence of the podcast last week. So I have like a color scheme, little things that'll pop up saying like who we are.
Fancy,
yeah. So I guess as part of that, I'm not doing the audio podcast yet, but if somehow in the future I decide that and you're listening to this, you can actually watch the video at youtube.com/taken4 Grant D. I got a custom URL finally. Which is like a thing, yeah. You have to have like certain qualifications. I finally went out and did it, so now you can actually just go to that. It'll take you to my thing instead of a random jumble of letters that it was before.
do you have to pay like $10 for it or something?
No, you just have to have there's some requirement. So like you can't get it. I think having 100 subscribers is it, and I just haven't done it in like 6 months, despite being eligible. Because it's a whole thing if you want to change it. But I got fairly lucky, and I can do all my stuff under my like same brand. Like I actually got my Twitter handle is now the same thing because whoever was using it gave it up.
Using what?
I had some other name for my Twitter. So and now it's the act. They're all the same. They're taken number 4 Grant D. Whereas before, sometimes I would have to sub like FOR in some cases because it was taken.
It was taken.
It's all confusing. Yeah, but it's branding. Yeah, so it's all working out. But we were talking about Game of Thrones and spoilers. Yeah. So what I want to talk about it. So I've just binged season 6, the one previous to the one that's starting now. And I feel bad because Matt wanted to come over and watch Game of Thrones last Monday. So he's like, oh, well, let me see if it's like available. Like I can go out and get it. Cause I thought he wanted to go watch like the one coming out like that night or something. And I think you need to have HBO now to watch it like when it comes out, right? Not HBO Go.
I have HBO Go and I watched it the night it came out.
Okay. So I wasn't sure I was checking it. And then I loaded up and literally the first thing is like, these like major spoilers of Game of Thrones to that first one is here. Like the subtitle was, what was it? Jon Snow, Queen, like is sailing the sea. It's like basically every spoilers from season 5 just in like 2 sentences. Like, well,
In season 6?
yeah, I keep seeing 5 for some reason. Yeah, it was like every single major thing just in one line. I was like, well, that's it. And to be fair, none of that ended up mattering because like, to be fair, in season 6. Like the first thing that happens is like, so it wasn't like, oh, I was waiting for that to happen for that long. I didn't mean to talk about this because we just had a big conversation before this. But I dodged a bullet earlier, I think like 6 days ago. I was playing Gears, right? I was doing my little speed runs and shit, and I was talking to someone on the chat because like there's 5 of us, we're all in mics because it's hard. He's like, y'all care if I play my anime music? And it's like, oh, no, it's fine. It's like, oh, and he starts playing it. And it's the, on Attack on Titan, the song when Aaron's mother dies, which is like the dramatic music. Like, oh, I know that song. It's from when his mother dies. Like, and he says this as the mic's cutting in and out. Oh, no, this is when transforms into the Armored Titan and transforms into the Colossal Titan. Whatever. It's like, I got so lucky right there because it cut out like right at that moment that like I could tell like I didn't hear the name. But it's like, I'm not going to talk about this anymore because he was just like dropping major spoilers instantly. And I wasn't ready for it because I was playing Gears. Like I wasn't ready to like not hear Attack on Titan spoilers, but it came so close. Like, God.
Speaking of which, we should watch that,
More of the season 2?
Yeah.
Yes. We have to watch more of that.
Still haven't finished it.
I haven't even started the show, even though I've read way past that, but
I've had 4 episodes left for like 2 months, I swear.
I always go in binges in that. So like, we're watching Code Geass. We might watch it a little bit later tonight. We watch it like in 3-hour portions, and then I won't watch it again for like a month.
yeah.
So yeah, that was the Gear spoiler I want to talk about. I just could tell I was like so lucky, and I just wasn't ready for it. But speaking of shows and cartoons, one thing, the theme of this that we wanted to talk about is Jamie and I just finished watching Avatar: The Last Airbender. Great show. Yeah, you recommended it, but I mean I was gonna watch it anyway because it's pretty famous. And I want to talk about that. And after this, we're all gonna watch the live action one that has like 1 star on Amazon. And when I went to go see if they had it and you could rent it, I literally scrolled down and they have like the reviews. The top review that was like the most helpful was just 1 star. No. And just like lowercase. Just like, no. The most concerning review was the second one that was like, this isn't even like bad funny. This is just bad. Don't watch it.
It's not even like Sharknado.
Yeah. Like something that's like, oh, this is bad. Or better case was like, we did something similar when we watched Bionicle. Like the first Bionicle movie, pretty good. Second one, it's like almost like so over the top like nonsense,
Yeah.
it's entertaining to watch because it's just like, okay,
Like no explanation either.
Yeah, it's just like things just kind of happen. You know, I guess I can talk about a little bit of my impressions. I really liked it. I had seen surprisingly a large amount of it, mainly of, I guess, book one, like season one, because like there was definitely moments where I was like, oh, I remember seeing this as a kid, but I was always bad at like watching TV as a kid. Like I could never do that. Like come back next week and see the next episode. I just would turn it on, and sometimes you see stuff. So it's weird, like how I'd be like, oh, I've seen this scene. This is like one scene, and then I would like remember what happened. So that was kind of neat, just going through that, like what I remembered and what I didn't, and like what I missed. But yeah, I'm trying to get like first impressions. I really liked it. Zuko is a really cool character.
Yeah.
I'm going to start off maybe with some arguments. I don't like Katara at all.
Critiques, you mean?
Yeah, critiques. I don't like Katara at all.
Why?
I feel like everyone else is like, if I imagine it like as a video game, she would be like the NPC quest giver or like the escort mission, who has like no character to her. She's just kind of there because they need to have stuff happen. Whereas everyone else has like things they want to achieve and like mistakes and flaws and this whole like repertoire stuff. She's just kind of there. And I feel like she always gets a pass whenever she gets to do something. Like I didn't structure my argument. I meant to actually sit down and like write out notes for this before. We were supposed to do this like 2 weeks ago when I had just seen it. But I guess it seems like everyone else has like these quandaries come up. Like an example would be like Aang goes to fucking Guru guy, right? And he has that whole issue like, oh, I don't want to forget the fact that I have a crush on Katara chick, right?
Yeah.
And because he fucks that up, he like loses the Avatar state. Like that's something where it's like he has a flaw and that like hurts him. I feel like anytime something like that comes up for her, she just gets an out.
You mean so
like for example, they have a situation when they're in the Fire Nation and she wants to help the village and she pretends she's like the spirit.
Okay.
Yeah, like and they're like, no, we got to keep going because if we like miss this date, if we don't like do all this stuff before then, we're getting fucked. So,
right?
Nah, we're gonna stop. No repercussions. Just all good. Or I just always feel like, I don't know, like they go to like her story when she goes to like the Northern Water Tribe and they're like, we don't train girls. And I was like, fuck this. I don't know. It just felt super like I don't care about anything with her character really.
Interesting.
Or she just like whines a lot, whereas I
Yeah.
feel like even like Sokka's just like
even
has
like-
development.
Yeah.
Like when they had Zuko join up
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
the rest of the gang, and then
She's the most.
she was the most
Untrusting.
critical and she
Mistrusting.
wasn't having it. Yeah, mistrusting of Zuko, and I don't know. That just annoyed me.
Well, I mean, yes and no. To be 100% honest, I was surprised everyone kind of warmed up to him as much as he did, because didn't they meet up with him and then like he was kind of helping them, and then all of a sudden he betrays them and Ba Sing Se. Like was
Yeah.
So I could see why that might be a thing. It's like, yeah, we tried to trust you before and we literally lost a friendly country that could help us because of what you did, and now we might be fucked, we might not be fucked, and this is all your fault.
I don't know what to say. It's like I just felt obviously she fits, and like I said, I feel like she's there to help drive the story. Like she's almost like someone just there to give like exposition to basically explain things to Aang, and Aang being the audience essentially.
A lot of it had to do with like, oh yeah, she was able to become like the person that teaches him how to waterbend the whole time.
I don't know me too. Like at some point she just became like really good in the show.
Yeah.
It just kind of happened.
Yeah, because she was not very good at waterbending at the start, and somehow she became Aang's waterbending teacher.
She wasn't very good at the beginning, but as I remember, as we were going, she got better. But then when she got to the north, that's when she really showed what she could do. I don't understand. Like they didn't really explain why.
Yeah, I think it also like the whole show takes place over like 6 months or a year. Like it's very important. Like I don't recall what it was. I want to say it was a year, but then I think I recall like there's an event at the winter solstice, right? And then like the comet comes on like just after the summer solstice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like in 6 months she learned all that. It just seems like weird how that could happen.
I think also it comes down to like, I don't think she was ever trained to be a bender.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that she was kind of a shitty bender without any training shows that she's really a prodigy, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I guess is the way you could look at it, because you're like thinking like, oh, you have a mystical power that literally you've not remembered anyone who could actually do it, but for whatever reason you're able to kind of do it already without being taught. That shows potential. Mm-hmm. For instance, she also learned blood bending, which is something
She doesn't even learn it, she just does it. It's like once she became aware of it, she just could do it.
I mean, theoretically, you wouldn't it be the same thing? You're
No.
simply just bending water. That's all you're doing.
No, the chick that could do it, that old lady, she talked about how she like did that over. She learned that over several months in prison, and then Katara just like, oh yeah, I told you about it. Now I can do it.
Rats, right?
Yeah, I mean, given she can only do it like at night once a month. But,
If you watch the Legend of Korra, something that I like conceptually by the fact that it happens after. I still don't think Legend of Korra holds up quite to Avatar status. I still think it was a decent show.
I think season 3 holds up of Legend of Korra. I like it better than Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Which was the enemy? Was that the one with
Zahir.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I liked. I'm gonna say it's. I liked all of Legend of Korra. I don't think it was as good. So I didn't think. I don't think it was bad at all.
Yeah, I don't
just
think it was as good, but for me, season 3 peaked higher than Avatar: The Last Airbender did.
I actually liked. I really liked season 1 because the conceptual the whole uprising thing, that was cool. But what I was trying to say is technology, or there was a progression of techniques. Like you know how Toph was basically unique because she was virtually the only one who could bend metal, and lightning techniques were really difficult. So like the fact that Azura could do it, and does Zuko ever do it?
He can redirect it, but he doesn't.
He learns how to redirect it, but he doesn't use it.
his uncle teaches him, but it always would just blow up in his face. So I don't know if you count that because he was conflicted or whatever. But then so I guess there might be like one point he does it or something.
But that's the thing. It's like, oh, lightning thing is like really dangerous. No one can, like virtually no one can do it. Metal bending, pretty much only one person we see can do it. And then you go to Legend of Korra, which is like 40, 50,
It's like 50 years.
at least 50 years in the future. And like metal bending is just a normal thing now. And lightning thing is like a common thing now because one of the characters like goes to work at a power plant where he essentially just zaps something for like hours at a time.
And they have like 50 dudes all just
Like
there
just doing
shooting
it.
lightning out of their
So
hands.
that's something that I like is like, oh, once people learn about techniques, it's a lot easier for people later on to do them.
And they have the police are all metal benders.
Yeah, because they're all
Trained by
earthbenders.
Toph.
Oh, that's cool.
They were trained by Toph and then Toph's daughter.
Spoilers. I have not yet seen it.
Well, you'll meet Toph's daughter at the start of episode 1.
But one thing that bugs me is they never show anyone learning how to bend. Like they show Aang learning something else, and there's a couple kind of scenes, but it seems like there's an important explanation about how you actually do it. Like go from I can't bend anything to doing it for the very first time. It seems like there's some kind of thing. Because it just bugs me that like when Aang learns firebending for the first time, he's just like, oh, try it. Okay. Oh, fire. It's like I don't know. It seems weird. Like they don't ever talk about that.
Was book 3 or book 4 the one where all of a sudden people could do something special?
Book 3.
Was book 3? I was going to say.
Of Korra?
Yeah, there's something.
I feel like Korra exists to fill in those holes. And I think that's
Okay.
That's one of the reasons why it's very good at explaining stuff, is it exists to fill in the background that this show couldn't. Mm-hmm. But that just was a small gripe of mine, is I wanted to see someone like have that explanation. But yeah. So question for you then, both of you. So Zuko's mother, right? She gets exiled. Is she somewhere else in the show? Like, does Aang ever meet her as like just a background character? Because it seems like something that show would do. Is that she was just like a random villager they encountered?
She was in the novels. They're like graphic novels that they made.
Because I guess I was thinking it was going to be something like we were talking about Game of Thrones about Jon Snow's mother, how it was a thing that a lot of people would like make predictions. So I was wondering if that wasn't like a similar case where it's like, oh, I bet this was Zuko's mother. They just didn't call attention. I was expecting it to be that. So I was just curious if I had missed that, because I obviously didn't learn about that until the end of the show when Zuko does.
I think maybe. I'm pretty sure she's in it at one point, and then they might be a thing where like, oh yeah, we saw X, but it wasn't like, if you're weren't really paying attention, like I don't remember what part that was.
Because I know like their first set of graphic novels take place right after the show, and it's like Zuko and Azula like finding their mother.
Oh, you mean? Oh, I didn't know there was a graphic novel afterwards.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about because I know that when the show was coming out, they also made essentially comic books about the show.
No, there's like a three-part like graphic novels. So there's one that's about that, one that's about like forming of Republic City, and then another one later.
Was that pretty close to before Legend of Korra started coming out?
They might have done them as Legend of Korra was coming out.
Okay.
I don't really remember. I don't think I'd never read them when they came out. So
Okay.
I was trying to fuck with Jamie when we found out that like Zuko's mother ran away, and I'm like, yeah. And do you know where she went? She went to the South Pole, and she's Katara's mother. And she's like, no. I was like, no, I'm fucking with you. But that I thought would be a weird twist if that was the case. But it seems like she would have been in the show. Like that would have been a great little Easter egg that like, oh, if you know, that's who it was or something. But I don't know, just a small curious thing I had. God, what else? I needed to make a list of this because like there's so many things I was just kind of curious about. Like I talked to you about how I didn't understand when Aang goes to see the lion turtle, whatever, how he just suddenly learns to like people bend or whatever.
Bending bend. I don't know. Spirit bend.
Spirit bend. Yeah, I guess I just didn't see.
Is that where he takes away the person's
but when he
bending?
learns that because the turtle like touches him, and I rewatched that scene, and it makes a little bit more sense.
They talk about that in chorus.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like I think they fill it in, but I was like, because it was good. I was like, cool, but I was like, where's this coming from? But okay,
Like that's a pretty big part of Korra season 2 is that lion turtle, and they go into the background of that, and it's really, really cool.
Oh, there's that one episode where it takes place on Ember Island, and it's all just about the essentially the Fire Nation teenagers, like Azula, Zuko.
Yeah.
The beach episode.
That was an interesting. It felt a little fan servicey, but also felt like kind of out of character because it's like I don't know, like they regress. Like all of a sudden, like fucking Azula's like, boys don't like me. It's like, who gives a shit?
I mean, I don't know. I guess they were trying to make them seem like regular teenagers too. I guess
it just bugged me because like there's a point where Azula like yells at like the circus chick, and she's like, boys don't like you for some reason. She cries. I'm like, you've seen her like murder people, and like she insults you. She made you like leave your job and like drag you to war, and then you're crying because you made one insult. It made no sense to me.
But my whole thing was like, I don't think you understood that she didn't perceive that as like being dragged. She remembered like, oh yeah, like I forgot how exciting doing this shit with you was. Also, like you just proved to me that nothing's going to be exciting anymore because you made me fucking do this over a fucking flaming net that either A, I would fall into the burning net, or B, I'd fall through the net that has no integrity anymore and hit the ground. So literally it doesn't matter, anything I do is not going to live up to that.
See, I took that scene differently. I took the scene being like, hey, you don't have to come with me, but I'm just going to keep fucking shit up until you do. I thought that was the implication.
I think that's what that was her intention, but I don't think that's how the circus
Ty Lee.
chick, Ty Lee took it. Like I think she's just weird, and so like she, even though Azula was trying to make it seem like one thing, she perceived it an entire different way.
Okay.
Also, it's supposed to be the thing where it's like, oh yeah, she's kind of like the hero to her, and then the fact that like she's insulting her over something very personal, it's like, oh, I thought you were my friend.
One thing I talked to you about is I really like that Zuko dates like what's her name? The other chick? May, yeah. And I like that it wasn't relevant to the story at all. I thought like that's actually a really cool thing to do in the story because I feel like a lot of shows from that time period I saw as a kid would always have like the random like romance subplot that doesn't go anywhere because it's not important. And I thought they did it really well because I felt like that works.
Well, I felt like it was important though.
It's important for like one scene.
I feel like it's an important scene, and it led to different characters acted different ways because they were in a relationship.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's good. Like, but I feel like it normally be used where either just to add it and nothing happens, or it's the other way. Like, he needs to get connected to her so she can die. I thought that's usually it would go one of those paths. The fact that it was like in the middle and very, I guess, normal is what I liked. Because I think it also just makes him really human. That like, yeah, I want to avenge whatever, and I want to go find the Avatar and get my place back. I also want a girlfriend. I think that's just like really fitting. It's cool. Because I just feel like a lot of shows do that, and then, I don't know, just why. So I thought it was cool. And I think maybe I just like that, because I fucking hate the Katara Aang pairing, because I don't like Katara. And it just like, fucking, like, every fucking scene, like, when they're in the cave, like, the Airbender cave, and they have to, like, kiss whatever, fuck off.
Well, they don't have to kiss.
I don't care.
They think they have to kiss, but it's like, oh, no, the lights just go out, and like, oh, shit.
I do not care. I don't like Katara. I think that just framed it. Like, good romance subplot. Other one I could not give a shit about.
And one was definitely had more screen time.
Yeah.
And the other.
But I like that it was just in the background. There's just like the one scene where she helps them get out of the prison is the only time that actually kind of comes up that much. Otherwise, it's just they argue. Mm-hmm. Plus, I think it made her character really interesting, whereas otherwise she would just be like the least interesting of the three.
Yeah, I think so. She would have been if it weren't for that.
Yeah, so at least it gave her something. Does it bug you that they show in bending they have all these fancy techniques, but always the ultimate technique is just get a lot of shit and throw it at them? Like that's like all the Avatar states, right? Is like, oh look, I can do the fucking octopus slashes and do all these fancy things and slice, or fuck it, tsunami, or like best earthbenders, just a fucking ton of rocks. Best fucking airbending, tornado. It's nothing ever clever. It's always just throw a bunch of shit. That seems like that's the best move, because like, what are you gonna do?
It depends on who you're fighting. Because if you're an earthbender and you're fighting another earthbender, hurling giant rocks at each other doesn't do a ton, because you can just create openings through said rock.
True.
And essentially just like troll that way, where it just goes like you just bend like a perfect shape around yourself and it just flies right past you. Or I don't know. Like, so there's something like that where you're saying like, oh yeah, like the tentacle arms or something. I think it comes down to as well as what resources do you have at your disposal. Like if you're a waterbender and you're inland and you don't necessarily have a ton of water, you need to use the water you have efficiently. So using the tentacles where you're not actually losing the water makes sense.
I'm just curious. I mean, it's not something like I'm sure if Katara could just do a tsunami at will, she would. I assume she just can't. But it did bug me a little bit that like every single Avatar stage is just a lot of stuff, with the exception of the end when he fights. That's a little bit different. I think they do it really cleverly. That's a cool scene. Although I do feel it's like it was a little bit of a cop out that he just like hits his back and goes Avatar state again. Like that seems like something I would do as a DM, where it's like, let's just accept that I just need to get over this thing, and then we're gonna have an awesome time.
Yeah.
Like it seems like they just need to like, yeah, he just hits his back, whatever.
I wrote us into a hole
Yeah.
in which the character would not be able to get out of normally.
Yeah.
So
But-
we're just gonna make it that he can't.
Because obviously it's like the final episode. Of course you want him to go Avatar state and fucking go crazy, right? So that just like was a small note. Let's see, God, what else? That final episode is long. I think it was actually meant to be like broken up, but on like Amazon it shows as like one episode, and it was like 2 hours long.
I think it was maybe. I think on Netflix it was like 40 minutes.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be like a 4-part.
Yeah, I think it's 4 parts, but it never actually cuts when you watch it on Amazon. So it would seem like this is really long, because it basically just watched 4 episodes, not one final one. I kept waiting for it to end.
I will say one part that disappointed. Well, wasn't a disappointment, but made me sad was when Sokka loses his sword.
Space Sword.
Yeah, his comic.
Was his master was played by Bruce Reynolds, right?
Which is Bruce Reynolds.
I only know because he was on Archer, but he's I'm pretty sure it's him. I want to check. I'll check after the podcast.
I don't remember, but you remember who his dad is, though, right?
No,
Mark Hamill.
I don't know who that is.
Zuko's father. I'm sorry.
Fire-Lord Ozai is Luke Skywalker.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So they don't show you his father until like season 3,
like
yeah.
the very end of it too.
Yeah, and a bug. I thought there's gonna be more of a reveal when that happened, but really it doesn't matter. I mean, he just looks like you would expect him to look. I think it's just to be mysterious, right?
Well, I thought it was just not just mysterious. I think it's supposed to be psychological too.
Yeah, he couldn't even look his own father in the face. He was so terrified.
And like no one, it's just like a thing. It's not only. It's not that like, oh, they just never show it. It's just that you're not able to.
The other character, I could do without Momo.
But what the fuck? Momo's great.
Nothing's wrong. It's just, Momo doesn't contribute anything to the story.
Momo contributed a great scene where Aang was delusional and it was Momo and Appa were both samurais.
That was a good scene.
Momo was great. He brought them food. He was like Sokka's bane a lot of the time.
I don't know, I guess it kind of showed that there was just like another remnant of the airbender culture.
Also, it was kind of like a thing where it was like Appa needed a friend. Where it's like if like Appa would be really bored if that all he did was just fly with them and sleep and eat.
It was a really good show. I enjoyed like all of it. Eclipse was cool. That scene when they like invade. I had not seen that. I remember the Eclipse was like a thing, but I'd never actually seen the episode really go. And I thought that was going to be the end of the show. And then I was like, oh, it happens. And then they have a whole arc after that. I didn't realize.
I think the Eclipse is probably my favorite like invasion. Like when they fight and they storm the Fire Nation. I think that's probably one of the coolest scenes in the whole show.
And that's why I was going to say, like, I like Avatar because they break physics just overwhelmingly, repeatedly. but at least they keep it consistent and do cool things with it. Like the whole thing is like, oh, we're gonna make the submarine, and because they can water bend, they don't need a propeller. They're literally pushing the water against the boat, so their boat can move that way. And then like they're using tanks and stuff like that. I don't know. I thought that shit was cool. I didn't understand the goggles though that they had.
Which goggles?
The ones that the invading army, the water tribe and earth members were using when they did that attack, because they had those special like visors during the eclipse.
Yeah, that bugged me too. Like, what was the point?
I didn't understand. It's like the whole thing is like that's so that you can see the eclipse.
Yeah, I told Jamie that it's so I can look at the eclipse. Like, they're fighting. They don't need to look at the eclipse. Like, what are we like? And it's only getting darker. Like, I think it's just a joke, I guess.
I don't know. They're kind of cool, I guess. But
Well, I just feel like they would. I don't think they would help. I think they would only be a hindrance.
I don't get it either.
That's one thing.
I did have a gripe that annoyed me. Like in book 3, they go to the Fire Nation, right? And they change their clothes. And they have to remind you that every fucking episode. It's like they change their clothes. Like, I don't give a shit. But they remind you every fucking episode.
I don't remember that.
You had mentioned that it was because like, oh, like that's kind of how you identify characters. They always wear the same clothes and stuff and colors. So the fact that they're different,
Yeah.
you want to make sure like, look, they're the same people, just different clothes.
yeah. Now they're all in red because they're in the Fire Nation.
Trying to think if I had a favorite moment. I feel like looking back, season 1 was kind of dull compared to obviously what season 3 was, and going to like the Earth Nation was really cool.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say like season 1 is definitely it's kind of like, oh, it's kind of interesting showing things, but it's mainly just like showing characters and then getting to the water tribe. Everything else before that's kind of immaterial.
Do they ever have any kind of like background story on Iroh? Because there seems like there's a bunch of stuff they mention that they never explain about him.
Like what?
General guy that dies on the North Pole or whatever. He mentions that Iroh went to the spirit world at one point. And that they just never came back to that. I thought that was going to be a big reveal. Like, oh, that's when he had like a change of heart or whatever. Because that's also the same time his like son died and he wasn't able to conquer Ba Sing Se.
I think they kind of talk about that because I think that's why he was in the White Lotus. Was because of that event.
I didn't know if there was like one of the side comics or something that like, this is what that story was. I kept waiting for that to come up.
I don't think it's any of the comics. And they might talk about it in Korra, and I can't really remember.
Okay.
That's...
They might.
Who talks about it in Korra?
They.
Oh, okay.
I'm not saying who. That'd be a spoiler.
The entire final episode was great. Just going through with the crazy firebending. It seems like firebending does get like it's like earthbending and airbending. Do they have like a comet equivalent and like a solar equivalent?
I don't think so. I think that's the thing about them is that like, oh, fire and water are both okay, but then they each get like once every so often they get a massive buff. But I feel like with earth and air, it's kind of like you're just basically good anywhere you are. Like basically any place you go, like unless you're an Earth Nation and you're like in the water. But even then, theoretically, there's still probably Earth around you somewhere.
I knew there was other issues I had with the series.
Oh, I like this part where Toph like just shreds that boat, that ship.
She was a cool character. I think that was like obviously something the writers must have had from the very beginning of the conception of the show is the blind Earthbender.
Oh, and that's like another thing I thought was cool, like the fact that how she communicated with the world was through bending.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I feel like there was something else I was going to mention about Azula and Zuko.
Well, speaking of relations, what about Sokka and I forget the Suki?
I don't mind. I mean, I was curious because like it seems like they're setting up this thing like, oh, who's he going to end up with the entire show? Because he gets like a lot of girls through the show.
Because he had the Moon Girl, and then he also had Ty Lee.
I never really considered Ty Lee. I thought this was a thing like he was just kind of like trying to get away from.
Someone
like,
shared something on Facebook that was great, where it's like you versus the girl. God, what's that mean? Like you versus
Who she tells you not to worry about.
Yeah, and it's Suki on the left, and the girl she tells you not to worry about is the Moon. It's like I get that joke. There was a great exchange like when they're going to the prison, Zuko and Sokka. He's like, "What's up with you?" It's like, "Oh, I got banished." From
Which prison?
What?
Which prison?
The one in the lake in Volcano. And it's like, oh, I got banished, and now I betrayed my country. What about you? My girlfriend's the Moon. It's like, that's rough, man.
He goes, that's rough, buddy.
That was pretty funny.
There's nothing you can say to that, anyways.
Oh, what do you think about the bender that the third eye guy.
Oh yeah, they never explained him. I always thought they were going to explain what he is.
I think he's technically a firebender, but he's also a unique person that has a unique bending.
Yeah,
that
he's firebender.
Someone is able to do something very similar in
Korra?
Korra, right?
They're able to do the same thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say
They bring it back in Korra and they talk about it a little.
Okay, because I was expecting for some reason like he's like I don't know, a bending cyborg or something. Because was it what he has like metal limbs?
Yeah, he had a metal hand.
But Toph says he's entirely metal, is what she says, and it seems like she would be able to tell that. She says like it's like he's entirely made of metal. So I didn't know if it was gonna be this thing like he doesn't bend, like maybe he has some kind of mechanism inside him and he bends it internally, like almost like if you had a gun, and instead of like having a trigger, you just bend the fire or something like that. And then or if he was literally just like a golem, because he never talks or anything.
oh, and that's a thing too. It's like that's another person that you see outright get killed. Technically, well, kind of.
I know it's like
I mean, his head explodes after being hit with a boomerang and his like thing.
It's like a PG-7 show, but I really wanted someone to just get like beheaded just once, like really like frame on die.
See, and that's one of the things I said, like Legend of Korra, or well, the Avatar, not Legend of Korra per se, but the Avatar thing could be like really gruesome because like being like smushed by rocks, burning people alive, cutting them with the water or air, or blood bending, like the blood just out of someone. You just like fucking just slice them apart from the inside.
Yeah, you turn their blood into ice and they instantly just die.
Or you just like literally just take all the water out of their body, just like through their body. Just
any closing remarks before we move on? Because I don't want this whole thing to be, because if you haven't seen Avatar, this podcast would be terrible otherwise. We're gonna move on to other topics, but yeah, I'm looking forward to live action. I hear it's bad, really bad. It's by M. Night Shyamalan. It's about the Avatar Aang.
Honestly, I don't think that the actors that they chose for the Fire Nation are all that bad.
I didn't like Iroh. I felt everyone else was good. I didn't like Iroh though because he didn't seem as jovial.
Yeah, he did seem a little bit more like.
Oh yes. Well, have you seen the movie?
I've seen it before.
Have you seen it?
Yes.
So I guess I should have just watched the movie. We could have talked about it. Shit. Oh wait, let's move on.
I saw it in theaters, by the way.
Oh wow. Damn. So I've been working on some stuff for the podcast, one of which being, like I said, fancy graphics. The other one being is I'm trying to like put together a website because I need to do that in order to make an RSS feed. And once I do that, then I can actually submit it to iTunes and Google Play, and that has been a very annoying process to do because like no one can give me like the answers I need, because it seems like everyone's either like, oh, hey, yeah, just use this template service and you can totally make it. It's like, well, can I do like RSS feeds and host files? Like, probably not. It's like, well, that doesn't help me. Or it's the other way. It's like, oh yeah, I developed my like massive company's website. You can write it all yourself on PHP. It'll only take like 600 hours. It's like, yeah, I can't do that either. Like there's somewhere in between. I don't need like an enterprise level website. But I finally found an answer, and it's using what's called a content management system. So essentially, instead of writing all the HTML, you basically set it up to have all your data in a database and it generates the pages on the fly. So hopefully in the upcoming weeks, we'll be able to go to a audio version as well as the video, and I'll be able to push that out to iTunes, and you can be fancy and be like, hey, mom, dad, you want to check me out? iTunes podcast, Digression Bar, future. So I'm excited, but it's been tough, and I finally have some headway, and I'm so glad because I was just like banging my head, and I finally just got to a point where I was like, I was just finding sites that are like similar. I was just like messaging people like, how did you build this? Do you have any advice, any like resources and stuff? And that kind of helped flesh stuff out. So I'm finally glad.
How long did this take you?
Well, I was mainly doing it the last 2 weeks because we didn't have the podcast last week.
Right.
So and I'm still doing
it. Took you 2 weeks of like trying to just talk to
yeah,
people.
it's just like I realized like I know I have the skills to make this, but I don't know what to type into Google to even get started. Like what language should I build it on myself? Is there some service out there that I can do it? Like literally everyone was either, like I said, go with like some very simple template website, which doesn't do all the things I need to, or they're like, just hire a web developer. It's like, well, I'm not going to pay a couple $100 to have someone else do it.
So what I'm hearing from you is that you had all the tools and materials, but you didn't have a blueprint.
I didn't know what tools to even use. Like that was the issue. It's like, because I don't know, I've never done web development. So I can like teach myself PHP, but then it would really suck to do all that and like, oh, I got to write it all in JavaScript. Let me start over. That's the thing, is I didn't want to go down like a rabbit hole and then realize that's not what I needed. So hopefully this will work. Like I said, I don't know if I said it's built using Drupal is the name of the CMS.
Drupal?
Drupal. Drupal version 8. And what's nice is it lets me do it very modularly. So like right now I have it working on my local machine. It's like very undeveloped, but it runs. And if you're like on my network, you can go into the website when it's running. And the goal is like, hey, look, I can make this, I can develop like a podcast page. And look, now you can go, I can post podcasts on my local website, right? And then I can make a database to save the podcast. Does that work? Yeah. Well, then let me put my database out on the web somewhere with like Amazon. Does that still work? Yes. Then let me put the website on it there. Does it still work? And I can do it really modularly, whereas if I built it like from the ground up, you just kind of have to do everything at once. And that's what I didn't want to do. So the goal is I eventually want to have it to be essentially just like a professional portfolio of stuff I do for like YouTube overall. So I'll like, here's like kind of a mix between like a blog and somewhere to post the videos. That's what I eventually wanted to be, because I definitely noticed. So I had this thing at work I had the chance to audition for. And basically what they wanted to do is make these small little news segments for internals and clients and stuff. And they just had a open broadcast for like if any employees wanted to audition, because they just have a lot they need to do. And it's really simple. And as part of that, you could submit like relevant works. And I realized, I don't actually have like a portfolio despite doing this for a while. And one of the reasons I'd like to have the website is to be like, hey, look, here's my best stuff. And it's presented in a better format than, say, I make some really dumb joke video that gets some big viral hits, but I wouldn't show like professionally. Well, YouTube's still going to recommend it if you go to my site or something, and I didn't want that. I would want to control it. That's the end goal. But I want the podcast to work first, because then I'll be official. We're on iTunes and we're on GoPlay.
So what you're trying to say is you need to have a catalog for new skits.
No, but I get what you're doing. No, on that topic, what I wanted to start with is I got a new phone. I upgraded from a Moto X. I have a Samsung S7. Actually, I used this for a video today I put up. And I was going to talk about that, because one of the things I wanted to do, and I'm hoping to use this for the podcast as well, is that was almost my excuse for getting a new camera. Because like the camera on my old phone sucked, and the software that ran it really sucked, so I could never use it for anything. Whereas this could be like a fourth camera. So what I'll probably end up doing is I'll get a lav mic for this, and we'll probably eventually use this if we ever have like a fourth person on, or we want to do like a wide shot, or we like to film some live action skits. I actually I got some books a while back on Amazon I'm reading through, because I want to do some sketches. I'm going to just put them online, because less so that I want, thanks Alexa, less so that I want to like have that be really big, more so that if I ever have a really good idea, I want to be able to run with it. And now I would finally have a camera that's good, because the cameras we have here are decent. They're not great. They're always like a little fuzzy, and they're not good in like the fact that my apartment's dark, so they struggle a little bit. But this thing's awesome. I can shoot in 4K in this thing.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it like disables like every feature on it. So I wouldn't, because also it's like, I don't know, it'd be really out of place. I'd rather do 2K and have like other stuff to fix. But I'm hoping to do that in the upcoming weeks, is try to shoot one or two. I did some brainstorming. I think one idea I would like to try. That's really solid, but I don't know how to like write it. So I have to finish my studies.
Okay.
And then I think we can try it out. But that's what I'm doing. I don't know. So I don't mean to like talk about myself the whole time, but it's just been what I've been doing like the last 2 weeks, and I want to try going for it on the channel. Because as part of that, also, we didn't do it this time, but for the podcast, what I want to do is have like really interesting like photo shoots for the thumbnails. And I talked, I think, to you. We didn't do it today, but I was thinking of it because we had the Avatar theme. Is I just want to go out and like spend like a Saturday, go to some different locations, takes just some fun, like some photos, like parody, I don't know, a movie poster, and that would be like the thumbnail. Or let's just, I don't know, try an interesting idea, make the thumbnail. And since I have a decent camera, I can do that now. So, whereas everything else, like these can take photos, but they're blurry. I don't know why. I think it's just lighting. But that's why. So I had to lead in with the phone so I could get to the skit. See, it says new phone and skits, not skits and new phone. Don't steal my topics. Do you know who steals topics? Hy-Vee. Okay. See, I can do it too. You want to talk about Hy-Vee?
Yeah.
How was your week?
I worked 8 days straight, so that was an adventure. It was not fun, but it happened. But on one of these days, I think it was Tuesday. I'm pretty sure it was Tuesday. Tuesday or Wednesday. I think it was Tuesday though. No. Okay, it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter was, it happened on a day that was most likely Tuesday, and I get there, and so do you remember that there's that little box? So like in the walk into our cooler, there's that little box that if you fuck with it, and like it pops open, an alarm starts going off.
I did
really
not know.
loud.
No, I did not know.
Well,
that.
Jamie would know about that, but so. Just as a frame of reference, it goes off really loud. Like, for instance, you can hear it outside of that big metal door because it's supposed. What it's trying to tell you is that you're not a adequate supply of Freon going into the cooler or freezer, whatever. And that was happening to our walk-in when I got there, and it was also happening to the bakery freezer, and it was also happening to the bakery cooler. It was also happening to the meat department. It was also happening to Italian and Chinese. And it was because the mechanism that supplied the Freon to all the things, something broke in it. So everywhere, all the apartments or departments that had anything that required something cold, essentially, had alarms going off for like 6 hours that day.
It seems like that would really suck.
Like I like it started at like 11:30, I think, or something like that. So before I got there, it didn't stop until like 5. It was because like they have to be loud, and they can't legally turn them off. Mm-hmm. Like there's just no way to do that without breaking something, I guess, because it's supposed to tell you if that goes off for a long time and everything warms up and then cools down, you might not notice, or just it's not good for food, basically. And so anytime you had to go in, and this was bad because A, it was loud, and B, it meant that anything that was supposed to be cold was only going to get warmer from then on. The cooler is supposed to be like 40 or something in our walk-in, for instance. It got up to like 50 degrees before it kicked back in, and like that's a big deal. Yeah. And I was just annoyed that day because like I got there, I'm like, so in other words, I basically can't do shit. Anything that's out in the case, I basically have to foster because I cannot go in and out of that thing over and over and over again. That meant that a lot of the things like doing the chickens and stuff early, we didn't get done until after 5 because we weren't going to go in and grab it and come out because there's just more times going in and out of the cooler. And yeah, that was a nightmare.
Jamie told me about something that happened with a spigot yesterday in the dish room.
Oh, yeah. It wasn't yesterday. It was the day before. Okay. It was one of in the dish room, one of the sinks. The spigot blew off, and water just started shooting into the air, and I had to go turn off the water under the sink.
Yeah, Jamie said she like came back and just like water.
Yeah, and water was just raining down. It was funny because like I was at that time I was cleaning one of the fryers, and all of a sudden Tong, the dishwasher, comes like kind of like power walks over to me, grabs my arm, and like pulls me and shows me, and I'm like, oh shit. And I'm like, shit, where's the turn off valve to the fucking water? And I crawl under there while being rained on, and then I turn it off, and right as I get around, Jamie walks around the corner as all the water just falls and stops.
So yeah, you got to get a real job, graduate.
I know.
How many years do you have left?
How many years?
30?
I think what? That would I basically would just get a job at the university if that was the fucking case. No, I think 1.
Then no more Hy-Vee?
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, it wasn't like I don't think anyone planned for me to do 8 days in a row because I don't think you're supposed to do that. It was just I worked like 3 days because I was taking a class. I told Paul what day was my last day, so then he scheduled the last 3 days of the week. And the next 5 days of the next week.
To be fair, the manager also doesn't put a lot of effort, I think, into scheduling. Yeah. He's misspelled Jamie's name on the schedule for like the last 3 years.
How does he spell it?
I think Jamey. And her name is IE. And she's mentioned it all the time. But I think he doesn't know how to work Excel, so he can only copy and paste it and make a new one.
Okay.
So so like it's a thing that like I remember saying before there where like he would like we'll like make a schedule that's obviously wrong, and Jamie's like, I don't work on Tuesdays. Like, okay, just don't come in. Or like I call him before, like, hey, Paul, I need to leave, and there's no one scheduled for the next 3 hours, and he's like, oh, I'll call someone. It's like, do you not notice that? I don't think he puts a lot of effort into actually scheduling people.
I don't know. Also, I've noticed that sometimes like the hours are wrong. Like there's the tally on the end, like how many hours you're working that week, and sometimes it'll be off by like an entire shift. I'm just like, yeah, this says I'm only working 32. I'm working definitely 40.
I thought you were gonna say for a second he scheduled you to like 16 o'clock, like after midnight or something really really stupid.
No, I haven't seen that before.
No, I think he just doesn't try to put a lot of effort into it. Like it's something that he clearly doesn't like doing.
Yeah.
On another topic, I watched movies with Jamie. Last night we watched Mortal Kombat, the original one. That's really terrible.
Was that the one we watched that one time, or was that the other one?
There's two.
Right.
There's Mortal Kombat 1 and 2.
Yeah,
We watched the first one. I assume that's the one.
Okay.
So, yeah. But more specifically, we watched Inglourious Bastards. And I did not understand that movie. Like, I think shot-wise, it's a very well-made movie.
Well choreographed.
Yeah, like, it's shot in a very interesting way, and there's, like, cool scenes. I just don't understand what the point was. Like, I thought going in, it was supposed to be a comedy, but it clearly wasn't that. But it's not, like, a pro-America film either. But it's also, like, not, oh, look at the horrors of World War II either. It's just, like, kind of this weird story. Or like I did not give a shit about the American characters in there at all. Like they seem completely unnecessary to the plot.
You mean the Inglourious Basterds?
Yeah, like Brad Pitt, like that whole thing. Like why? It was especially weird because we were watching The Office before, and Ryan from The Office is in there, and it was like a hard cut. Like turn off The Office, turn that on. It's like it's weird because it's the same character and he speaks the same way, but obviously it's a way different like situation. Like that's all I saw.
Same character or same
like
actor?
Same actor, but he like. Kind of is similar, where he's like kind of I don't know douche.
Okay,
was what I was getting at, but yeah, I just didn't understand. I didn't understand what the movie was going for. So yeah, it was interesting. I just didn't get it.
I haven't. I've only seen maybe a third of it, so I can't really speak on it. I thought it was supposed to be just kind of silly, like situationally.
I thought it was gonna be like a full-on comedy, like maybe like dark, but just like
I remember like a scene near the end where like all those like Hitler. I think Hitler's in the room and like they're all in the theater and like it's a propaganda film about the sniper killing all the American and Allied forces and they're just like going and just start gunning everyone down and they're like all just like laughing the whole time.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it.
Also, I didn't understand is it's not trying to portray history very well because they show that they killed Hitler.
Yeah, well, me too. I didn't get it.
So like one thing's like, oh, we killed him, and then we did this thing. But it's like, nope, it's just they killed Hitler, and
I think that might have not actually been Hitler. I think there might have been a line that there's a stand-in he sends
that looks like him.
Yeah, because if I recall, there's like a scene with Hitler where he looked a lot more like Hitler, and he's like concerned because he doesn't want to go like that close to like enemy lines or something. Something like that. I think that might have been a stand-in.
Okay.
I think, but I don't really recall because the movie is just kind of like all over the place.
Also, I haven't seen the whole movie, so I can't say one way or another.
Yeah, I don't know. You can watch it. I've heard a lot of praise for it, and I just didn't get it. I just don't want to say other than I just didn't get it. Oh, the other thing we watched last night is we watched the Lego movie. That was really good.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I mean, I got it knowing it was going to be good. I was like, that was good.
Also, you know that song, the Everything Is Awesome song?
Yeah.
That's a Lonely Island song.
Really?
Yep. Lonely Island did that song.
Like for the movie, I assume?
Yes. Like there's a part where like, if you listen to like Art of Everything Is Awesome, like, and then there's a part where they start like saying stuff like awesome, like everything is awesome. Like, yeah, it's a Lonely Island song.
That was a really, really good movie. I enjoyed that. It's going to be way better than the one we're going to watch after this.
The Batman Lego movie is okay. I didn't quite enjoy it as much.
I haven't seen it. I don't watch a lot of movies unless it's like with Jamie. It's relevant for the sketch idea I want to do. It's relevant. I'll pitch it to you afterwards. So what else is up? What do you got?
I want to hear more about your Wyoming wedding.
Oh, I feel like it passed, but I went out of town for a wedding to Wyoming, which is like a 7-hour drive. And I was mainly had that up there for like last week. It was awesome. It was cool. I hadn't seen my family like in a long time.
Did you go to Devil's Tower?
No, we didn't go anywhere like relevant. We just went to the wedding and drove back.
I didn't know if you like. It's kind of. I think it's mildly close to the border, so I didn't know if he might have like oh, it's over there as you're driving.
Now, I would personally like to travel more. I feel like now that I'm a real adult with real jobs, and I can afford shit like that. But what bugged me, I guess, is I really enjoyed the wedding, but the drive sucked because it was 7 hours both ways. And it's just basically 2 days where you achieve nothing except sitting in a car.
I would really hope it was a 7-hour drive both ways, because it wouldn't make sense if it was a 7-hour drive one way and 6 or 4 hours coming back. That'd be weird.
My uncle took my grandparents, and they don't like traveling, and it was apparently terrible because they have to stop. They stop every 90 minutes, and they don't want to travel more than 4 hours in one day. So instead of 7 hours one day, it's this giant 2-day affair both ways. And you can tell he was heated.
Why 90 minutes?
They just want to stretch. And no, it's drive for 90 minutes and then a 20-minute break where you get out and go to a park or something. Not let's stop and stretch and get going again. And he travels for his job. He goes to different plants and to check stuff out. So he's used to it. And then it's just man, that looks so painful. And you could tell he was really annoyed. God. We stopped to get some lunch or something, and they're making some comment oh, should we I don't know, get something to take with us, a drink. He's oh yeah, well, if not, we'll just be back in 90 minutes anyway. So that was the thing, but it was fun. I enjoyed the wedding. Never been to Wyoming, so yeah, I would have flown personally, but
what's the closest airport there?
I have no idea. I don't know Wyoming. It's very empty, I can tell you that. Just lots of fields, hills. But yeah. Volcanoes? I don't think so. Yellowstone? Is that what you're getting at? I don't know where Yellowstone is. I'm terrible at geography.
Well, yeah, Yellowstone's
geography
there,
is not my strong point.
and Devil's Tower is also a volcano.
I don't know what Devil's Tower is. So, it's a volcano. I learned that.
Have you seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind?
No.
Okay.
I don't watch movies.
You know what Devil's Tower looks like. You do. I guarantee you know what it looks like. You just might not remember which one it is.
I guarantee I don't remember what it is, but I'll probably I would recognize
I have a friend
it.
who went to it today.
Really?
And put it on a Snapchat story.
Okay, that's hell of timing.
It might have been
Coincidence.
yesterday though.
Oh,
You want to give him a shout out on the podcast?
What?
Give him a shout out.
Yeah. Shout out to Jim
Get plus one more subscriber. Get mentioned.
Archery Jim.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, but he wasn't there. He must have been there yesterday, so it's gone already.
Anything up with you? I feel like I obviously can talk about myself the whole time, but how's working in 100-degree heat?
100-degree heat. I get used to it. There's a reason I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt now. It's because I can't.
Never seen that.
you never see? That's bullshit. You had to have seen this somewhere. Something. It's I don't know. I don't know, man.
I've never.
It's
seen
not knowing what the Statue of Liberty is.
I've never. I don't think that's the same
I don't
scale.
think it's the same scale as Statue of Liberty.
I said it's like.
Okay.
I don't know. I get used to the heat, so I'm out there all the time. It doesn't really bother me. Honestly, I don't like being in under 75 right now, just because I'm acclimated to being outside 5 days a week for over 8 hours.
Makes sense. We had Hummel stories last podcast, which has been 2 weeks ago when your brother was on. Which I don't know if we called that out. You are brothers with the guy who was on last week. Yeah.
I guess we had an exciting. We called EMS a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah. What on?
So we have the garden beds that we added after we left.
What's EMS again?
Emergency services.
Okay, that's. I thought that's what it was,
Yeah.
but I want to make sure I was on the same page. Okay.
So we play this camp-wide game called Annihilation.
Is that like Mudball?
You weren't there for that. It's like dodgeball, kind of.
Annihilation.
Well-
It's like a free-for-all dodgeball.
Well, it's not really dodgeball. There's a bunch of tennis balls, and the point is to collect more tennis balls in 1 minute than the other team.
Oh, I'm thinking of a different
They might
game.
have changed it since.
I was thinking it's the game where it's you just have one ball and a person has the ball and you can throw it to tag people out.
That's elimination.
Well, what did you call it?
Annihilation.
Annihilation.
Oh, okay.
It's completely different games.
I can see why
okay.
you might get confused though.
Yeah.
I actually
No.
don't know either game, but
But yeah, the point of the game is to get more tennis balls than the other team, and then each game's only a minute long. So each counselor has their own different strategy, and mine's pretty good. Out of the 6 weeks of camp so far, I've won 3 of the tournaments,
okay.
so I'm pretty much the best.
Pretty much the best.
Pretty much the best.
Okay.
Not big deal.
So clarification. So you're saying to collect. So is it like 1-on-1?
No, you have your whole group of kids, which is 24-ish.
Okay.
And there's like 130, or there's 200 tennis balls, 130 of each color roughly.
So is this like a scavenger hunt,
no,
or
it's like a small field.
small field, and you just throw the balls out?
Yep, throw the balls
and
out.
then it's just essentially a relay race of just running, getting the ball, coming back, running, getting the ball,
Kind
coming
of,
back.
but each kid has a football flag. If they get their flag pulled, then they're out for the game,
The game.
for the rest of the game. So then there's
Okay.
like a strategy between that and
So
getting
it's
the
like,
balls.
do you try to go for attrition or do you try to go for collection?
It's a little bit of both.
Like-
See, I can't reveal my strategy on the podcast.
Well, I'm saying that's
Top
that's
secret.
that's what you have to
Top
like,
secret.
How like what do you plan on? Not you.
Yeah.
I mean, like what? How do you strategize?
Exactly. But like part of it was I needed to know who the fastest kids in my group were.
Were they the ones that you would have tag?
They were the ones, who'd people in the flag.
Yeah, I was going to say like you want your slower people to
Yeah.
be the ones that would do that because first off, you want them to catch the other kids. So
Exactly. So I had them do a race like I normally do. I always have them run around. So we have these 12 garden beds, one for each group of kids, and I had them run down and around.
is
and
this
back.
is this back to the EMS part?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Sorry.
And so I line them up. I shout, "All right, go!" And they sprint off. It's like right when they start to, so they're really going quick, rather than like they're not out of any energy left yet. And this girl just kind of like how I have them go. It like has a little funnel. They go. It was a wider, and they funnel into a smaller area. And her leg catches the corner of the garden bed as it's like coming up.
What is it again? Made out of?
Wood. It's this wooden corner,
Oh shit.
90-degree angle.
Oh fuck. At least it's not metal, I guess.
Yeah, and it catches like her thigh here, and like she lifts her leg up through it, so it goes all the way up her thigh there. And like as that happens, she spins, falls, and hits her head on the side of it too. And like as this happens, I'm watching it as like I just like told her to go run a race and run into this. I like freeze. I can't move. I see this happen, and then luckily someone else was there and like quick ran, picked her up, and we got her into the office. Called 911.
So how deep of a gash was this?
I could see her bone. It was pretty deep.
God
Wow.
damn.
Yeah. This was 3 weeks ago, and I ended up seeing her recently on Wednesday, and she still got it all bandaged up.
I mean, even if you have stitches, that's only the surface.
Yeah, they apparently they did stitches like inner stitches and outside stitches, and when EMS came, they were like, "This is one of the top 10 worst things that group of EMS guys had ever seen." Which is
What about her head?
her head, no serious head injuries at least.
Okay. Like, was she bleeding, or was it just like a bump?
It was just like a bump on her head,
Okay.
and her leg wasn't bleeding that much until we got her inside.
I'm pretty sure it's because your body doesn't realize, oh shit, wait, there's a hole here.
Yeah.
Oh my god, there's a hole here. Oh my god.
She got annihilated.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't think we had any serious injuries when I worked there, but damn, that sucks.
All the way down. God, fuck.
yeah, that one was really bad.
You could die from that really easily. Like, it was
Yeah.
her outside, right?
Yeah, it was the outside of her.
Okay,
left
so
leg.
it wasn't really near any major arteries. Motherfucker, goddamn.
Did you watch any of GDQ, Andrew? I think I sent you a couple links. That game's done quick.
Not as much as I would.
I have a couple I want to send you. There's an amazing Final Fantasy VII run.
You said like 8 hours or something?
Yeah, it's 8 hours, and it's all very intense. Like, apparently, I didn't know this. The random encounters in Final Fantasy are based off of the number of steps you've taken throughout the entire game. That's how they use, like, the RNG.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So they have a very specific step count they have to hit on every single screen to keep it, like, consistent.
Okay, so on the start of each screen, not.
No, I think it's over the entire game.
Okay.
yeah.
So, like, if
Like,
you fuck it up on one, you have to, like, not
it-
take other ones down the line or be, like, optimal. Or, like, they'll run in a circle, like, once or twice on the screen and then go.
So the more steps you take, the more likely you will have an encounter?
No, it just changes,
Yeah,
like,
it's
the
just,
RNG.
that's how the random number generator
Yeah.
is off of.
Okay, so what type of enemies you encounter?
Yeah. So,
Okay.
like, so yeah, or if you get one at all. there is a certain system in the game, I guess, that is like if you haven't had one for a while, it makes it more and more likely. But yeah, they manipulate that. Or like there's an amazing boss fight they do where I guess it looks ridiculous. He like poisons himself, or he poisons a monster, and then he gets like I don't know if you're familiar with like the 777 Easter egg in Final Fantasy 7. If you get your health before sevens, they'll go crazy and they'll like do a bunch of attacks that all do exactly 7,777.
Oh yes, I was aware of that. I don't think I've ever gotten it.
Yeah, I guess I have to go look at the playthrough again. But something stupid like I guess poison damage is like self damage or something. So he gets fuck, my TV keeps turning off. He gets like the enemy poisoned and then gets the enemy to do it. So the enemy hits itself for 777 or something really stupid. It's like mind blowing. I'd really recommend that one. I think there's a couple
Did
others.
he mean to do the 777 thing?
Yeah, it's how they beat it every time. And
How
they have
do
a
you do
setup.
that?
They have a setup on how to get it. They like kill Tifa, res her, and then do something else, and it blew my mind. It's really fascinating. Made me want to go play it again. Just because like I've only played that game once, and it was just like awesome. Fascinating 8 hours. And they were doing it like I want to say from like 11 to 6 in the morning is their time slot. It's super awesome. I recommend that one.
I remember hearing I was listening to one of the Funhouse podcasts, and I heard that there was a little bit of a kerfuffle about some of the timers were running slow. Like they were saying the timer was slower than actual time. So it's like instead of 5 seconds, it would read like 4.
Yeah, but that was just like their overlay.
Right.
It wasn't official. It was just like the video is playing slower. Does that make sense? It wasn't like something they would set up. It's just it was lagging. The video was lagging because it.
Oh, I thought they were talking about like the keepers. Their thing was not working well for the beginning.
It might have. They always have technical issues because they have such a crazy setup they have to do. Like they have basically every console in existence that people are playing on, and they're just breaking it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think they fixed it. I don't think it's like not anything major because it's like a charity event. But
my thing would be though is like if you got registered like a record breaking time, you're like fuck yeah, and then you go back later, it's like actually you're not. Sorry, that was a mess up on our end, but yeah, you didn't break the record.
I totally recommend going to see like a compilation of all the cringy stuff that happens there because it's always fascinating because you get some weird people there.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
But overall, there's some like great runs. Did you see that Super Smash Bros. Brawl video I sent you? I thought that would be really relevant to you, where he like takes control of the camera.
Oh no, because I was trying to look at it on my phone and it wasn't working.
Totally recommend. Apparently in Brawl, so I don't know if you know this, Andrew's first console was a Wii, and the only good game for the Wii was Brawl, or rather, it's like the only one you could really replay a lot. Because like Zelda, you don't play it for 100 hours; you just kind of beat it and you move on. So I didn't know this, but Brawl only can render 3D environments like this. So when you're like fighting, right, that's a 3D environment, but also every single menu is actually 3D. Yeah. And it's the same. I don't know how to describe it. It's the same engine that runs the menus. It's the same one that runs all the fighting. And he just like turns the camera and you can see it's like a bunch of pictures all laid out in 3D space. And that's really weird. Go watch that video. It was fascinating. Fascinating. Oh, I should send you. There's also a great Twilight Princess speedrun you would also really enjoy, where they just break the shit out of the game. Oh my god, so awesome. I watched an Oblivion speedrun today. That was also very good. I love HGDQ. I just wanted to get that in because they had it 2 weeks ago. I don't think we ever talked about it. Totally recommend it.
Was there more of the fastest to get laid and then blow the head off of the prostitute?
No, that was just other people doing it, but they don't support. They're a family-friendly show, so they don't support goals like that. This is another podcast. We're talking about dumb speedruns because we were talking about Club Penguin and getting banned, and there's a speedrun that was the fastest way to get banned in Club Penguin and what the world record was. And basically what you do is you quickly make an account and then you just log in and scream fuck, fuck, fuck so that the server bans you. And we got talking about there's one where it's like the laid percentage of Fallout New Vegas where it's like from starting the game, how fast can you go get laid?
Not New Vegas, 4.
4, that was it, yes. I'm sure it exists for New Vegas as well.
Sure.
I love speedruns in general, but we're at time. I just wanted to get that in a little bit. And so we can get watching some Avatar.
Well, and the thing is after they get laid, they every time they blow the head off with a shotgun. It's like, oh yeah, got it. Boom. I
love them just because speedruns are always great because they just blow my mind. like each game has like this weird like microcosm of culture and these weird tricks. Like I was watching Half-Life 2 right now. It's still up on my PC. And what's interesting about Half-Life 2 is Half-Life 2 has no cutscenes, right? It has just the first one and the ending, and everything else is just
In-game rendering.
in-game. So the way I guess Valve renders those is a lot of times when characters are moving, they move from point A to point B. And if they get stuck, it'll just warp them. So to speedrun, if you want to like speed up those in-game cutscenes, you can forcibly warp them by obstructing their path, which takes the form of you just hit them on the head with objects. So it's really insane. Like if they're ever like a cutscene, it's just they're holding a book as like Gordon Freeman and they're just like whacking people on the head. It's just like it's so weird. And that's the entire speed run. It's just like, okay, we need to get Barney over there, and just like boop, and he just teleports. It's really funny. Or like the Final Fantasy VII, so many crazy things, or like just like places where they'll just like glitch the game. It's awesome.
The whole Infinity Worlds or whatever for the Mario 64.
We need to talk about parallel universes. That video is so good. It's almost like a parody of itself. It's like, how was it called? It's like beating rolling rocks in Mario 64 with 0.58 presses. That guy, shout out to him. He knows what he wants to do. That's like a science, and it just keeps going.
I know. It's like a 20-minute long video.
Yeah, well, I guess it's in a similar vein because you're trying to have that challenge, I guess. But I'm trying to think, I know there's other ones I wanted to send to you and talk about because like they are fascinating to watch. Or like you would love the Halo 2 speedrun. There's an amazing glitch in Halo 2 where like in Halo you have the sword, right? And when your aimer's red, you lunge.
Right.
So
sniper.
Yeah, you can switch to a sniper, switch quickly to the sword, and lunge. And I don't know how to describe this. You can zoom in on something with a sniper, so your aimer turns red, and then quickly switch to the sword and lunge, and you will just like fly through the air for miles. And you skip like entire levels. But it's really weird to see, because they just like float. It's mind-blowing. God, I'll find some ones I could recommend. I've been watching all the ones from this year.
Can you do that like with the Scarab?
What do you mean?
Like, there's parts with the Scarab, right? Before you can actually board it?
No, because the Scarab is not an actual enemy in Halo
But
2.
there are enemies on it.
Not until you actually board it.
Oh, okay.
And when you board it, it's like a scripted sequence and it's stuck, and you just jump on it.
It's not stuck, it walks. You can fuck it up.
Well, it's stuck in like a little canal.
Oh, yeah.
As I'm saying, it's not like you can get on there early and blow it up because it's so scripted.
Right.
But I could talk about it. We're at time.
Sorry.
I need to edit this. I'm gonna hate myself for going long. So maybe I'll throw in some more Game of Thrones talk after this or something. But yeah, so let's go around a little bit and we'll do roll call. I'm Grant,
Andrew.
Cole.
and I hope you enjoy the new graphics. And hopefully next week I'll have some more additions and maybe try out some new camera stuff. But yeah, we'll be back next week. Thanks for watching.